Welcome to the SEC Unfiltered channel. I'm your host, Dave Shumate, reacting to the first Saturday of SEC action on the hardwood. It was a good one, guys. We had some games that were controlled. I mean, some of the initial takeaways, just some of the better teams took care of business. Auburn took care of business at home against Missouri. Tennessee took care of business against Arkansas at home. Alabama took care of Oklahoma, knocked off one of the undefeateds. Two of the three undefeateds are now defeated. They have one loss each. Tennessee's the only team remaining undefeated. It's going to be a you-know-what to get a road win in this league. Again, guys, 18 conference games, 9 on the road, 9 at home. It's going to be hard to win on the road. And I know that's an obvious statement, but I think we see it more. I think we saw it today, kind of. It's not going to be the end-all, be-all, but we saw some of that today. Before we get started, guys, this reaction is brought to you by our buddies over at Game Time app. Download the Game Time app and use code SECU for $20 off your first purchase. I actually just sent the code over to one of my buddies who's buying tickets, I think, to the Saints-Raiders game last Sunday. So he used it, had a good experience. When you're going to use Game Time app, tell them your buddies over at the SEC Unfiltered channel sent you. And again, guys, use code SECU for $20 off your first purchase. They do a phenomenal job with last-minute tickets if you're into that stuff too, especially basketball season tickets. Why would you not? Let's get right to it, guys. Let's get with the big one. I think this was a fun game to watch. I think both teams here should be fired up about what they have on the horizon for the rest of this conference season right here. I'm talking about Kentucky and Florida. Kentucky beats Florida 106-100 in Rupp Arena. You know me, I always like to give you a visual. Let's go to the team stats right off the top of our head here. I thought this was a very fun game, just back to back. There's a good flow to it across the board. Just a very good flow to it across the board here. I mean, again, pretty good shooting night by both teams here. Kentucky, 57.8%. Florida, 55% from the field. Pretty solid. Kentucky shot really well from beyond the arc. You can tell that. Florida wasn't terrible, but 48% for Kentucky. Woo! 18 for 24. I mean, Florida out rebounding them 38-30. I mean, Florida, what I like about Florida too, people, and guys, listen up. Again, I appreciate you tuning in, guys. It's 10:20 on a Saturday night. But you know what? What else would you be doing after all? A big day of watching SEC hoops. But I was going to point out, I think we all underestimate Florida's physicality. You even see it just their guards. I mean, you see it through Martin. You see it through Clayton. You see it through Richard. You see it in their front court this year. They are a more physical team. Yes, they have to improve on defense, certainly. But I think a little bit with teams like them in Alabama, the way they play, the pace, their defensive numbers are always going to be a little skewed. So I think it is what it is, but I appreciate the physicality. And my point being, they out-rebounded Kentucky 38-30. Turnovers weren't bad for either team, which I appreciate. I like to keep it under double digits. These teams that play up-tempo like both these, anything from 12 to 14 is winnable, really around 12. But Florida only had 9, Kentucky 6. You'll live with that. Points off turnover were big in Kentucky's advantage, though, 20-4. Back and forth, largest lead for both teams was 11. Let's go to the box score here. Kobe Brea. Let's go to the winning team first. Kobe Brea, Lamont Butler, really good. Really good there. I mean, look at Kentucky. All 5 starters in double figures there. But Kobe Brea coming in 23 points, 8 from 11 from the field, 7 from 9 from beyond the arc. That's winning basketball. I think he could be an NBA player, guys. I know that sounds wild. He gets to step up as a defender, but just his ability, I think he's the best pure shooter in the league right now. Again, especially with Latrell Wrightsell being out with Alabama for the year. Lamont Butler, one of the more underrated players in the sport, 19 points, 6 and 9 from the field, 1 of 3 from beyond the arc. Steals and 3 steals. I mean, dude, he's just kind of a do-it-all guy. You like him, Otego Ueya. I like him as well. This Kentucky team, I don't know what the overall ceiling is of this team. Can they truly compete for the SEC? Yes. Will they win it? Probably not, because I think their floor – I should say this. I think their ceiling is lower than teams like Tennessee, Auburn, and Alabama. I think that's fair. But I think their floor may be there, just right there with them as well. I'm still trying to figure them out. I mean, Kentucky's been overly tested. I mean, they got 3 top 10 AP top 10 wins. They have the resume, and I think they're better than everyone thought, myself included. It's just as a true title contender, I think they're there. I think they're about in that 4th spot in the SEC right now, I would say, after the first weekend, which that's a phenomenal spot to be in. But I was impressed with both these teams, man. Just kept fighting back. Big runs. Florida kind of did themselves in that first half, and they let Kentucky go on that 16-0 run. And then the 9-0 run in the second half kind of did them in. It just they could never get over Florida in the second half that like 5-point range, 5 to 2-point range. They'd cut it to there. Kentucky would hit a big shot. Brea would hit a big shot across the board from that. So it wasn't anything big. I mean, just nothing to really – you can't be disappointed if you're a Florida fan. Obviously, Kentucky, you got the winner. Can't be disappointed if you're either team here across the board. What's next for both teams? For Florida, Florida host Tennessee. And you hate to say this because everybody is going to have tough stretches this year, but like this kind of feels like a must win. You're going to have to hold serve at home, certainly, to win. I mean, you have to hold serve, at least go 8-1 in your 9 home conference games. Like to win the league, you have to hold serve. So Tennessee, number 1 team in the country for a reason. One of the more impressive teams today with a win over Arkansas. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, and it's going to be a tough game for Tennessee as well. But I think Florida needs it. That's next for the Wildcats. Let me go this way. For Kentucky. Kentucky plays. Kentucky plays at Georgia. So that's a game you would think Kentucky's one you could potentially go still on the road. But, I mean, Silas Demery, Asa Newell, it'll be a tough matchup. I mean, any road game in this league is going to be tough. I mean, I think every team's going to kind of find that out potentially. The only 2 places you may not think maybe that tough would be maybe Columbia this year, Colonial Life Arena, and the PMAC, depending on what LSU team you get. So those would probably be the 2. But again, that's a winnable matchup for Kentucky going to the rest of the board. But Kentucky gets a big time win, 106-100. I like the Cats, man. I think they're much better than everybody thought in Mark Pope's first year. This team consistently finds people just stepping up, just game to game. I mean, the Ohio State game, I think, is the outlier here. Again, like I said, I take away, I'm impressed from both these teams. It's just, unfortunately for Florida, to stay in the league contention, you don't want to start off 0-2, and it's just you play Kentucky and Tennessee right out of the gate. So you got to hold serve at home. Big game for Florida coming up across the board. Let's keep going across the board. Tennessee hammers Arkansas, hammers the Razorbacks in Knoxville at the Thompson Bowling Arena. I know the Food Center City Arena is what they call it now, but we're always going to call it the Tommy Bowl here. But let's pull it up so you have a visual. Oh, yep, sorry. Let's pull it so you have a visual right here. I mean, they just big boyed them. I mean, if you want to be honest, you heard Cal in the postgame. He never got out-rebounded like that. But Tennessee gets the 76-52 win over Arkansas. Cal, Rick Barnes, old buddies, but switch. I mean, Cal put on the crimson color there for you, really, if you want to call it that. But Tennessee shot 39% from the field. Arkansas, 37%. Tennessee, 38.5%, 20.7% for Arkansas. Rebounds, I mean, that's what I was just talking about. 51-29. I mean, and look at the offensive boards, 24-9 in favor of Tennessee. That's just pure domination right there. Just big boyed them. I mean, that's a former Tennessee player they big boyed too. Jonas Adu made his return to Knoxville, but he's a Razorback now. Just impressive rebounding performance. That's pure domination there, folks. It's one thing to lose to Tennessee if I was an Arkansas fan. This just wouldn't settle well with the domination. I don't know. Arkansas is talented, but is it just going to be one of those years that's going to be high and low? And again, it's one game. Again, let's don't overreact. We're all human beings here. We all kind of have our prisoners of the moment. Even me, I make fun of the prisoners of the moment if you follow me on social media. I mean, go look at my football stuff, making fun of people reacting to Ohio State after one game against Michigan. I'm the perfect guy. I make fun of people about that. But I even get a prisoner in the moment. But it kind of smells like it. Like when there's smoke, there's fire. It feels like Arkansas is going to be that team. It's very high and low. And then Tennessee's going to be, as always, under Rick Barnes, one of the more consistent teams, not only in the SEC, but in the country. Turnover is about the same, 15-13. Actually, in the turnover department, Arkansas was +2. I mean, the largest lead in this game was 27 points. This is really domination by the Vols, if we want to just be completely honest here. I mean, we got Chaz Lanier just continues to do it. I mean, again, he's not Dalton Connect, but again, I mean, you really didn't know what you were having in with the North Florida freshman. I mean, or the North Florida transfer. You didn't know what you were really having, and he just continues to outshine himself every game. I mean, 5 for 9 from behind the arc. It's very impressive. Tennessee just a very physical bunch, like they always are. It's in their DNA, man. It's in their DNA. High floor basketball team. I don't know if they have the highest ceiling in the league. I think Alabama and Auburn probably have a higher ceiling than them. But and even Kentucky on some days, I think, with the way Kentucky plays offense. But Tennessee's floor, man, is just so consistent. What they do when they make you play half court, they get up in your grill, they out rebound you, they put an ass in you to box out. Like, they're just a physical group. It is in the DNA of Rick Barnes, and it's been for a while. I mean, it's not a shocking thing. I mean, that Texas, Tennessee finished in the top 3 or 4 of the SEC if not winning the SEC. I mean, it's just a constant in basketball. Tennessee gets a dominant win right out of the gate of conference play, and here we go. So, I mean, we already talked about it. Tennessee will travel to Florida. So we know about that one. That'll be a tough game for Tennessee. I mentioned it. Florida really needs it, but be a very impressive win for Tennessee because, like I mentioned, I was impressed the way Florida went to Rupp and handled their own, had chances. I mean, they were up 11 early, let it slip. Just a couple of big 2 runs for Kentucky was the difference. I think for Tennessee, they're going to have to really hone in here, lock in, not have a bunch of turnovers in this game because Florida's going to get theirs offensively. You give them extra possessions, it can be trouble. Tough road game, tough ask. I think Tennessee's playing with a little bit of house money. For Arkansas will host Ole Miss and feels like a must win. Like, I mean, again, they're fine NCAA tournament-wise right now, but in this league, you can't take home games for granted. You have to win your home games, at least 7 out of 9, 8 out of 9. I mean, you got, again, Ole Miss solid basketball team under Chris Beard today. They got a big win against Georgia. But Cal doesn't need to lose to Ole Miss this early in the season at home. This is a game you must win at home if Arkansas is going to be who they think they could potentially be. Stop sharing that one. Alabama controls Sooners in T-Town. Oklahoma, the second undefeated team heading into the weekend. Remember, we had 3. We had Oklahoma, Tennessee, and Florida all coming in league play today, undefeated. Only one remains, that is the Tennessee Volunteers, and that is because we mentioned Florida already dropping it. But Oklahoma also falls to Alabama 107-79 in Tuscaloosa to pick up their first loss. I mean, not overly shocking. I mean, the line opened up Vegas 12.5. I mean, come on. They build those big buildings in Vegas for a reason. They're just not – it's not a tax write-off, folks. So, I mean, they're usually right on. I kind of felt that way too. Ken Palm kind of felt that way too. I think he had it as an Alabama 9-point win. It just – I don't know. If you'd watched Oklahoma, this was Oklahoma's first road game too. I mean, Oklahoma's deficient in the front court. I thought it was a big advantage for Cliff Amore. He looked different tonight. I think it's because he looked fresher. He's looking more comfortable in the system, but I also think outside of Godwin, there's really no one there in the front court that could match up with Alabama. I mean, hell, Muhammad Wagi was on Alabama's roster last year, and they kind of told him to walk in a very nice way. Him and Nick Pringle, who's now in South Carolina, because they wouldn't have got as much minutes this year. Certainly Muhammad Wagi, but that's my point. Oklahoma isn't very good in the front court. Alabama took advantage of it. Alabama offensively took advantage of it because they were getting to the rim. And I mentioned Godwin is solid as a college basketball player as he is. He's not known as a rim protector. Alabama was getting to the rim. Didn't shoot great from beyond the arc today. 9 for 29, 31%. But they were getting to the rim because they know Oklahoma did not have a rim protector. And that's what Alabama does. They get to the rim and they take open threes. And they get points to the free throw line. It's just the name of the game, NATOs. But 50% from the field for Alabama, 47.8% for the Sooners. 26% for Oklahoma from beyond the arc. Alabama 31%, but it's off 29 attempts for Alabama. Free throw percentage, I mean, Oklahoma 62%, not great. Alabama needs to be better at 73%. Alabama dominated on the boards too, similar to Tennessee over Arkansas, 51-26, 22-8 in the offensive rebounds. Turnovers were not terrible for both teams. Oklahoma 11, Alabama 9, Alabama +2 in the turnover department. Alabama really controlled off the jump. I mean, Oklahoma had a lead early by 2, but Alabama had a big lead at 28. This was just really domination. Oklahoma getting hit in the mouth really for the first time. They had a big win against Michigan. Hey, 2 things can be true at once. Oklahoma is a much improved team. They're much better than we all projected them to finish in the bottom quadrant of the league, the bottom 4 of the league. But they're probably a little overrated. They're probably not the 12th best team in the country. Like, that can be fair, right? I mean, we'll see. We'll see. Looking at it though, I mean, I think the initial thing that jumps out is Alabama held Jeremiah Fears to 1 point in the first half, ended up with 16. Give him credit. He settled in. Give the youngster credit, mature, kept his head together, came out and had a better second half, so give him credit there. But Alabama pretty consistent across the board. I mean, Mark Sears started coming to his own, 5 for 13. Wasn't great from beyond the arc, but getting 22 points. 11 at the free throw line. LeBaron Filan doing his thing. Clifford Amore, 10 points, 7 rebounds. Grant Nelson, 12 points, 11 rebounds. You like what you saw today. When Grant Nelson is shooting well from beyond the arc as he did today, for him 2 for 5, and it felt a little better than that, that extends the defense. They have to come guard him and opens up more lanes for Alabama to get to the rim. You added Oklahoma as a rim protector. It was a nightmare defensively for Oklahoma. I mean, as you can see, Alabama put 107 points up on them, and Alabama shot honestly not good from beyond the arc. I mean, as you can see, 31%. So, yeah, I mean, just all across the board, tough to defend. Any kind of high ball action, how they would defend any kind of screen. I mean, you saw Porter Moser post-game say they carved us up. They have an answer for everything we had. So give Alabama credit. Still a good start for Oklahoma, though, 13-1. Solid NCAA tournament team right now, but we'll be interested to see down the stretch. Like, were they a little bit of not, I hate using the word fraud, but obviously not as good as the 12th ranking would have posed right now. And that's what I would say. I think a much improved team, good basketball team, NCAA tournament team right now, but probably not as good as their 12 ranking. Coming up midweek, they play Texas A&M at home. That'll be interesting. And then at Georgia, Alabama heads to Columbia, South Carolina on Wednesday night, and then will play. They'll head to College Station on the weekend. Heading over to the next one, Auburn defeats Missouri in really controlling fashion across the board. I mean, if we're calling a spade here, I mean, Auburn gets the 84-68 win at home. Man, guys, we know this. Auburn is not going to lose many games at Neville, if any. I mean, let's just call a spade here, right? I mean, Auburn shot 57% from the field, Missouri 38%, Auburn 47% from three, Missouri 30%. Both teams 75%, 73% for Missouri at the free throw line. Rebounds. Missouri out-rebounded them 31-29. Pretty well-rounded game, though, across the board for Auburn. I mean, 16 turnovers. That was the bad point for Auburn. But to be fair, that's Missouri's strength. That's why they're 11-2. They were 11-2 rolling in this one, now 11-3 while they knocked off Kansas. But because they force a lot of turnovers. That's why I think Missouri could get some teams at home this year, because they force a lot of turnovers. Auburn traditionally wasn't doing that. They forced 16 of them today. So give Missouri and Dennis Gates credit for that. I'll give them that. I was noticing that during the game. But no, I mean, Auburn controls this. They're not going to lose games at home, guys. So nothing if you're Missouri to hold your hat on right here. Go to the box score here. I mean, Janai Broom things like 24 points, 7 boards across the way. Miles Kelly hit some big threes when they needed to kind of keep that momentum going. Denver Jones, Chad Baker-Mazara. I think Chaney Johnson, 13 points, 5 boards, one of the more improved overall players in the league within his role. No, is he going to be some big-time NBA player? No, absolutely not. But he's improved within his role, especially after losing Jalen Williams this past year. So if you're an Auburn fan, you got to be fired up about that. I think overall, though, Auburn will take this dominant win. I mean, I'll be honest with you now. I can tweet it out if you really want it. I took Auburn. Chris Phillips as well did. He can attest. I took Missouri plus 18.5. I thought that was way too many points. Barely covered it, folks. Barely. I thought 18.5 was a lot. It was almost like, but I mean, give Vegas credit. They were almost right. I liked Missouri a lot tonight, and I liked Alabama plus 12.5 earlier as well. But moving on from that one, let's go to this. Let's go. Mississippi State dominates South Carolina. I mean, I don't know what was more impressive, Mississippi State's play or South Carolina's lack of ability. I mean, that was a rough game. I mean, that was rough. I mean, they had 18 points in the first half. It was not great across the board, folks. I mean, it was not great across the board at all. Mississippi State gets the 85-50 win, 35-point win at 56% from the field. Mississippi State shot 29% for South Carolina. It was a bad game for South Carolina across the board. That's usually not the case for Colin Murray Bulls, but tonight it was. This afternoon it was. He wasn't very good at all. South Carolina shot 10.5% from three-point range. Mississippi State 32% from three-point range. But, man, South Carolina 29% from the field, 10% from beyond the arc. Damn. You're not going to win many basketball games like that. Turnovers, you get 14 turnovers, you're in double digits. Free throw line, you shot 69%. Didn't get totally out-rebounded. But, I mean, just South Carolina not going to win many road games, I don't think, this year. I think they're going to have a hard time struggling, especially. I mean, they won't play like this bad every night. But, obviously, I don't think anywhere close to that. But Kyler Murray Bulls isn't playing well. I have a hard time seeing this team winning many conference games, especially on the road. I mean, that would just be really hard. So I don't really see that from that perspective. Mississippi State can take a lot from it, man. Mississippi State can take a lot from this rolling head. I mean, you needed that win here, and you needed it in impressive fashion. And like once Mississippi State kind of gets their foot on your throat, it's kind of over. It's kind of over. I mean, you saw them do it against Pittsburgh early in the year. Like once they got to put their foot in your throat, it's kind of over. Hubbard, 21 points, 7 for 13, 5 for 10 from beyond the arc. Claudio Harris stepped up today, 17 points, 7 for 10 from the field, 70% shoot, 50% from beyond the arc. That's what they need. They need another consistent scorer outside of Josh Hubbard, who is a high-volume scorer. Keyshawn Murphy, thought he did a good job tonight as well. But for South Carolina, I mean, look at Kyle Murray's Murray Bulls, 5 points, 2 for 9 from the field. That's not going to get it done. I mean, nobody played well for South Carolina tonight except Zachary Davis off the bench. But no, what's next? Mississippi State will they will focus on and take on who does that? At Vanderbilt. That'll be an interesting one. Both teams going to come in 1-0 in league play. It's at Memorial. Vanderbilt's better than we all expected. I mean, I picked against them. I thought LSU would win in Baton Rouge, but give Vanderbilt credit. Give Mark Byington the credit. We'll talk about that one in a minute. But that's an interesting game. I think Mississippi State should win that one, but it's an interesting one. And then South Carolina plays Alabama at home on Wednesday. Again, I don't see – I hate to say it, but South Carolina is definitely that bottom tier right now because they put a lot of the offensive weight on one guy in Kyler Murray Bulls, and when he doesn't play well, there's just nothing. There's nothing out there. But Mississippi State getting a dominating win. Getting a dominating win against South Carolina. Ole Miss gets a much-needed win over Georgia. They needed this, especially after the big loss. I shouldn't say that's an over-exaggeration. Hold on, let me stop myself there. Let me get a sip of the green tea. Wasn't a dominating fashion. Let me change that. It was more just disappointing. You went on the road and were kind of no-shows in that regard, and now you had your best opportunity to come back and show out. You need to get a win at home. Again, you got to – I always keep saying this, guys. You're going to hear me say this a lot this year. You got to hold serve at home. But they get the 63-51 win. Low-scoring game. They got to be better offensive production there, no doubt about it. But you get a 63-51 win over a solid Georgia team. I mean, they came in with one loss, only loss being to probably the best team in the Big East in Marquette. So this isn't a bad Georgia team again. And we know the SEC is good, but Ole Miss shot 41% from the field. Georgia 29%. Georgia just was not very good offensively today. I mean, they really were not. And turnovers were bad. 15. They usually shoot about 11% from the field. I mean, from three, that's rough for Georgia. 37.5% for Ole Miss. Rebounds 35-34, very similar. Turnovers 15-13. I thought the difference here a little bit. Sorry, let me share the screen here. I thought a little bit of the difference here, honestly. It was you got a little bit out of Matthew Morrell today. Remember, I kept saying that in the preview of the weekend. Like, where is he? You gave him the big NIL deal. He's missed 3 games. He's slow. He's no-shows at times. 15 points, 5 for 8 from the field. I mean, he didn't hit a 3, but, I mean, he's over 2 from beyond the arc. But 5 for 8, I mean, you'll take that. And he got 6 rebounds. There you go, Matthew. Like, okay, we can get it. We can live with that. The only guy in figures outside of Jermaine Brake. And those are 2 dudes I called out. So give them credit. Jermaine Brakefield, Matthew Morrell. Tip of the cap. I want to give it to you. Georgia, I mean, it wasn't your night shooting from the field, and it's not. Again, nothing to hang in. 51 points, though, modern college basketball, not good. That's what scares you with Georgia. Them on the road, consistently bringing it every night when, like, a lot of that talent's young, and Asa Newell and Silas Demery, Blue Kane, guys like that. I mean, that's what concerns you a little bit. If I'm a Georgia fan, like, let's don't go fade too much, because I think Georgia would get in with a 9-9 conference record. I do. 8-10, sure. But they just can't fall into that abyss of what this conference could be because there's so many good teams. But what's next for Ole Miss? Ole Miss travels to Arkansas. Not a must-win for Ole Miss, much more for Arkansas, but a good opportunity for Ole Miss and Chris Beard. And then Georgia. Who did I just looked it up? We'll pull it up right now so let's find out. Georgia they host Kentucky, which could say it's tough to be a must-win game, but man, they need to get one of the next two, either against Kentucky or Oklahoma, both being at home. And that's crazy to say against the 10th and 12th ranked teams, but they need one of them. Because like I said, you can't fall into that abyss because these 3-game stretches, I always say, these 6 3-game pods I always talk about, if you can go 2-1, you can compete for the league. You can go 2-1, you go 12-6, they'd be completing for the league. That's what you need. If you get too far behind, you're playing catch-up across the board from that one. Vandy keeps rolling in Baton Rouge, folks. Keep giving the door. Quit doubting the doors. And I'm talking to myself here, honestly. Vandy gets the 80-72 win over LSU at the PMAC. This line came out, plus 2.5 Vanderbilt, which I was like, God, I probably picked. This is one I regret picking here. I really do say, man, I should have picked Vanderbilt. They've been playing better. I don't trust LSU, and I still don't. But Vanderbilt shot 43% from the field. LSU 50%. About the same from three-point land, 30% for Vanderbilt, 27% for LSU. Free throw percentage for Vanderbilt was not good, and they still won 66% compared to LSU's 82%. Rebounds. Vanderbilt out-rebounded LSU wildly enough by 10, 37-27. Let you know this was a Vanderbilt team that struggled to out-rebound Jackson State, an 0-12 Mo Williams-led Jackson State team. This was not a great rebound. That's a depressing number if you're an LSU fan and you're paying attention to that as well. Than 15 turnovers, you're not going to win many games at all. That's not. Anytime LSU came out and jumped early, but once Vanderbilt kind of sank their teeth, started getting into the rhythm of the game, it was kind of too little, too late from across the board there. Tyler Nickel, 11 points. A.J. Hogarth hits a big play. So, man, one's there, 17 points down the line. LSU, it's Cam Carter. It's Cam Carter and Jordan Sears. It's really what you can consistently count on. That's about it. They missed Jalen Reed. The depressing part, I will say, for LSU, like I mentioned, I think Matt McMahon's team in year 3 has improved. It's not that much improved in this league. Only got tougher. As tough as any conference in the last 25 years, certainly. I'm kind of like with South Carolina. Where do these wins account? I'm not overreacting, maybe a little, but I really don't think I am. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we'll be laughing at me in a couple of weeks, but I don't see how LSU collects a lot of wins this year. But I also think they're improved. Again, two things can be true at once in this league in 2024 because it's so good. Vanderbilt just keeps rolling along, 13-1. They got a big one, hosting Mississippi State in the home opener. It's gettable. I think it's going to be really tough because I think Mississippi State's improved too, but it's gettable. But great start for Mark Byington and them. I keep doubting them. Maybe someday I'll actually pick them. Apologize to the Vandy fans. And then finally, Texas A&M saws varsity's horns off. Texas A&M beats Texas. Texas A&M beats Texas. That was a nightcapper there. I always kind of like this game for A&M. I thought it was just a good matchup. I hate to say this to the Texas fans. I haven't been that high on Texas all year, but Texas A&M gets the 80-60 win over their in-state rival. Gets revenge for the football game. I'm sure most people don't believe that. I'm just kidding. But to get the 80-60 win over Texas at Reed Arena, I just thought this was a good matchup. And A&M's tough to beat at home. Outside of Trey Johnson and Arthur Kaluma, Texas puts the entire game on everybody else's shoulder. A&M shot 47% from the field, Texas 34%. A&M, we had some low three-point shooting nights tonight. Texas A&M, Texas A&M shot 10.5% from 3. Who else did I name just a minute ago? It was terrible from 3. Who are we just talking about? That bothers me. We'll come back to that. That was like the third team we've talked about. It shot 10.5% from 3. Just horrific. Oh, at Georgia was in that. And then Arkansas, I believe. Yeah. 3 teams shot 10% or lower from the other. So overall, it wasn't great. But A&M out-rebounded at 41-31. Total turnovers, Texas had 12-7. A&M controlled this one. Texas came out looking pretty good out of the gate. I thought Rodney Terry's team did, but outside of that, A&M really controlled this one. Arthur Kaluma, 13 points, 7 boards. Caden Shedrick, really, again, I mentioned him. If Texas is going to go make the NCAA tournament in a tough league this year, Caden Shedrick has to step up, the Virginia transfer, in the front court to help out Arthur Kaluma, who I think is just okay. He's a winnable guy. But 0 points. And the best thing you get, again, double-digit rebounds, not going to take that away from you. But offensively, they need more out of you. Caden. Trey Johnson, not one of his better nights. 2 for 13 for the field, 0 for 5 from beyond the arc, only 11 points. And Tremont Mark was fine. I mean, he's very familiar with A&M, playing in Arkansas, 14 points, 4 for 9 around the arc. But Texas A&M, Zurich Phelps, 18 points, did a phenomenal job. Wade Taylor, he's had better, but still 13 points. Thought a really good game, though. Farrell Payne and I thought Zurich Phelps were kind of your two guys that you had to – I mean, Zurich Phelps, 18 points, 7 boards. Farrell Payne, 15 points, 5 boards. And those two guys are kind of the end-all, be-all story of the night. Stepped up. This A&M team's deep. It's a deep Texas A&M team. Texas has coming up. They host Auburn this week. So that'll be a tough matchup at home. Again, I mean, obviously you need it. You want to hold serve at home, but I think Auburn's the best team in the country right now. So it's just a tough game, and then you go at Oklahoma. So you need to get one of them. Or you host Tennessee. You need one of them just to stay, like I say, out of the abyss of the league. It's going to be tough, though. I think for Texas A&M here, Texas A&M coming up they play at Oklahoma and then host Alabama this upcoming week. Again, try to hold serve at home. They would like to go 1-1. I mean, this one will tell us a lot about Oklahoma. I know we're talking about A&M, but Oklahoma needs to kind of bounce back, show some fight at home. I probably think Porter Moser's group will play a little better than we saw this past week. That's bothering me. Who was the other team in the league? I'm sorry, folks. We're going to go down this rabbit hole because I actually want to see who was I talking about. Who was I talking about? I'm talking about A&M, the teams that shot. Here it is. We're looking at all right. So was it Arkansas? Let's see. We had 3 teams that shot 10% from beyond the arc today. No, it was not Arkansas. Sorry about this, folks. So we'll get to the comments here in a minute. No? Am I going crazy? No. It's not Missouri or all. I figured it definitely wasn't Auburn. Oklahoma? Let's see. No, it wasn't Oklahoma. Didn't shoot that bad. Maybe it's in a row. Maybe I'm right. Wasn't Florida or Kentucky for sure. But whatever. I'm not going to waste anyone's time from that perspective. Right, here's one. A&M. I mentioned A&M. Shot 10% from beyond the arc. 10%. South Carolina. This is going to be the other one. I'm on the South Carolina 10. Yeah. 10. Yeah, that's it. And then the last one was Georgia. So it was A&M, South Carolina, and Georgia. 3 teams shot. I'm confirming Georgia here, folks. Sorry, 11%. We had 3 teams shoot 11% or lower from beyond the arc today. Let that sink in. I did not want that stat getting out of here without me getting that to you. So I'm glad I went back and found that decently quickly. I'm sorry if it was too long for some of you. I am. But I wanted that out there. Georgia, 11.1%. Texas A&M, 10.5%. And then South Carolina, the same at 10.5. I mean, woo! It's some losing basketball right there, folks. That's some losing basketball right there. But I thought it was a fun night. Again, kind of the takeaways. 3 of the top teams controlled and dominated. Alabama dominated Oklahoma. Tennessee dominated Cal and Arkansas at home. And then Auburn dominated Missouri. I was impressed with Kentucky and Florida as a takeaway. I think winning on the road is going to be lack of a better term, it's going to be hell. Wanted to use a B word, but it's going to be hell. I mean, it is. It starts to make you think, what's going to be the record for the team to win the league? 12. I mean, what are we thinking? 14-4, 13-5. Does that win the SEC this year? And again, you got to keep your head above the abyss level. Can't go lose 2 or 3 straight. I mean, I was talking to a buddy on the phone today, covers college basketball. What is going to be the number of winning the SEC this year? I would love to hear it in the comments before we got out of here tonight. Yeah, I mean, I really think that's it. I think that's it kind of right now as we stand. I mean, we got a big week. Let's look at the week ahead. I want to pull that up before we get out of here. The SEC week ahead, the schedule starting on Tuesdays, and we'll be reacting to all these games every Tuesday and Wednesday night. So I have 2 reactions during the week, obviously, coming up. But going to Tuesday night, January 7th, we got Tennessee at Florida, 7 p.m. Eastern, Kentucky at Georgia, 7 p.m. Eastern, Auburn at Texas, 8 p.m. Eastern. Tennessee at Florida, 6 p.m. Eastern, Kentucky at Georgia, 6 p.m. Eastern, Auburn at Texas, 8 p.m. Eastern, Mississippi State at Vandy, 8 p.m. Eastern, LSU at Missouri, 8 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, I mean, big one for Tennessee, Florida. Florida needs it. It's going to be a tough one for Tennessee. Tennessee would love to have it from a league standing point. Obviously, from a resume standpoint, they don't need it, but it'll be a tough one. Kentucky, Georgia, interesting. I like Kentucky, though. I mean, they should win that game. Auburn at Texas. I mean, Auburn may totally dominate them in that front court if Caden Shedrick doesn't show up at all, somewhat. I mean, you got Broom, Chaney Johnson, and Cardwell versus Arthur Kaluma. Could get ugly in there potentially. Mississippi State at Vandy. Interesting game. Both teams rolling in undefeated. State's good this year. Vanderbilt's much improved in first year. Mark Byington. A real opportunity for Vanderbilt. I say you want to hold serve at home, but Vanderbilt's, they're not competing for the league. I hate to say that for the Vanderbilt fans listening. That's not a slight towards you. Just the goal should be to make the tournament. That's where you're kind of at right now, that bubble. Mississippi State, I think, has a little bit bigger goals. They need it, but it's a good opportunity for Vanderbilt. LSU, Missouri, both teams need it. If LSU loses at Missouri, this upcoming week, it could be real. It could be off the deep end struggle because then you go at Ole Miss, Arkansas, at Texas A&M, and at Alabama, but 5 games in a row. And then at Auburn. So you go at Ole Miss, Arkansas, at Texas A&M, at Alabama, then Auburn. I mean, it's 5 games. You got to beat Missouri. It's a must-win for LSU coming up. But no, guys, I mean, it's a fun first game across the board. Let's go to some of the comments here. Randy Cole, I don't know who he's talking. This team will finish under 500 in the SEC because we didn't recruit to play in the SEC. We should be 1-8 after the first 9 games. SEC tough is this year. Talk about Texas. Let's see. My guys, Full Court Network. Go give these guys a phenomenal follow. They do a really good job. But Ole Miss, the most underappreciated team in the SEC. Yeah, no, I would agree with that. They have a good opportunity coming up this week at Arkansas. Vols wrote, smart man, good not to be high on us this year. I'm assuming he's talking about Texas. Yeah, I don't know. Rodney Terry, I don't think he's a bad coach. I think he's just going to be kind of a means to an end this year. It's just not a team that you scout and you see anything where you're really scared offensively outside of Trey Johnson. Yeah, Jordan Pope can get hot a little bit at times. The front court's it's soft. It's just not very good. It isn't. And they just have Kaluma, and that's it. They're not getting anything out of Caden Shedrick, really. Vols roasted the Hogs. Yeah, they certainly did, Monty. A&M dominating with only 10% from 3 is encouraging. They hustle so hard. Yeah, I mean, that's them. I mean, that team, it's a weird stat. They're a better offensive rebounding team than they are a defensive rebounding team. I mean, it gets to be the Wade Taylor show at times. They just feast off offensive rebounds and get second chance points. Yeah, Monty, I agree. Igor Milicic for Tennessee, big today. I think Igor is the key for them to go win the SEC title and make a run to San Antonio in the Final Four. He's the ceiling of that team. He's the cherry on top. It takes them to the next level. I think I know what I'm going to get with Chaz Lanier now. I think I know what I'm going to get with Zakai Ziegler. I know what I'm going to get with Jamon Mayshak. If Igor Milicic can start improving, watch out. I'm telling you. Clint Vargas, we have no true leader. Trey Johnson hogs the ball too much and no chemistry with no true big winners. Yeah, I totally agree. Let me leave you with this question, folks. We get out of here, this reaction. Remember, I will see you Tuesday night after the action on Tuesday night. Let me go review. Let me just go back and just go over that schedule for you real fast, just so we're locked in. So Tuesday night, we'll be reacting to 5 games: Tennessee at Florida, Kentucky at Georgia, Auburn at Texas, Mississippi State at Vanderbilt, LSU at Missouri. I'll be back live reacting to you around probably 10:30 Eastern, just like we are now. But let me leave you with this. And I'd love to hear you in the comments. Go on YouTube. Again, guys, the SEC Unfiltered channel here. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. The road to 20,000 subscribers. We need you guys. It's the best SEC entity around, all things SEC, football, basketball, and baseball. Guys, it's the end-all be-all. You can't get it any better here. But let me leave you with this. So I said to win the SEC after one day, Alabama and Auburn versus the field. Would you take Alabama or Auburn, Alabama and or Auburn to win the SEC, or would you take one of the other 14 teams? I'd love to hear the comments on that, guys. But again, I'm your host, Dave Shumate, reacting to the first day of conference play on the hardwood in the SEC. It was a great one. Remember, this segment was brought to you by our buddies over at Game Time. Go download the Game Time app and use code SECU for $20 off your first purchase. Tell them your buddies over at SEC Unfiltered. So you guys, the SEC is a basketball conference now. We got to start locking in. Can't wait to see you on Tuesday night with 5 phenomenal matchups across the board there. You have a phenomenal Saturday night and a phenomenal rest of your Sunday and Monday. I'll see you Tuesday night.